Can you stop your motorcycle in 20 feet from 30 miles per hour? If you hesitated, you need this countdown. We're ranking the 10 essential drills that every rider must master to ride 10 times safer. No excuses, no shortcuts. From the invisible habits that retrain your vision to the high-stakes maneuvers that can mean the difference between a save and a crash, these aren't tips. They're the hard skills that prevent most motorcycle accidents. Backed by actual crash stats and expert-tested routines, each drill targets the real mistakes that put riders in ambulances every single day. Which crash-proof skill lands at number 1? Let's get started, beginning with number 10. In the 10th place, the head-up turn drill targets the single most common killer in motorcycling, target fixation. More than 30% of fatal single-vehicle crashes are attributed to riders failing to negotiate a curve, but the real culprit is almost always the same. Eyes locked on the hazard, hands steering straight into it. Where your eyes go, your bike follows. That's the golden rule of cornering, and if you can't master it, you have no business riding. The setup is brutally simple. 2 cones, 20 feet apart. Ride slow, almost walking pace, and force your head to snap to the exit cone before the bike even starts to lean. The drill isn't about speed, it's about discipline. Eye tracking studies confirm it. Fix your gaze on the escape, not the threat, and your steering path follows. Every pro, every police instructor, every survivor of a near miss says the same thing. Train your eyes, and your hands will save your life. If you can't do this cold, you're riding on borrowed time. Number 9. Panic stop drill means erasing front brake fear with physics, not luck. 70% of single-vehicle motorcycle crashes start the same way. A rider hesitates or ignores the front brake, terrified of a skid. The front brake is not a suggestion. It is a law of physics. If you ignore it, the pavement will be your lesson. The drill is simple. Accelerate to 20 miles per hour, then squeeze the front lever hard, fast, but smooth, while pressing the rear for a true 70-30 split. Practice this 15 times, and your stopping distance can shrink by up to 40%. Instrumented training studies show average deceleration jumps from about 0.6 G to 0.8 G after just 20 reps. That's the difference between stopping in 20 feet or blowing through an intersection. You're not just practicing, you're flushing the dumb out of your system. If you can't stop your bike in 20 feet from 30 miles per hour, you have no business riding. Master this drill before you even think about passengers or slick surfaces. 8th place. The clutch feather drill is the difference between rolling through a crowded intersection with confidence and tipping your bike onto the pavement in front of a dozen witnesses. Over 60% of low-speed drops, parking lot embarrassments, U-turn flops, traffic light wobbles, trace back to a single failure, not mastering the friction zone. The drill is surgical. Ride slow, 5 miles per hour, figure eights or tight circles. Keep your feet up, use only the clutch's friction zone and a touch of rear brake. No throttle blips, no panic stabs, just steady, controlled movement. This inch of lever travel decides your dignity. MSF and police training manuals call it the motorcycle's sweet spot, for a reason. Lose it and you lose control. Master it and you can balance a 900-pound cruiser at walking pace. If you can't feather the clutch without looking down or dabbing a foot, you have no business riding in traffic. This is the foundation. Everything else builds on it. Number 7. Quick scan drill is the antidote to the urban stoplight trap, the single most overlooked hazard in city riding. Rear-end collisions are the number 1 source of injury for motorcyclists at intersections, and it's almost always the same story. Rider rolls to a stop, stares straight ahead, and never sees the threat closing from behind. The drill is ruthless in its simplicity. Every time you approach a stoplight or stop sign, execute a 3-second scan. Left, right, mirrors, left again. And identify your escape path before your tires stop rolling. Never park in the kill zone, the dead center of the lane where distracted drivers aim their bumpers. Instead, stop offset, either left or right. with a plan to swerve out if a car barrels up behind you. There's the story of a veteran rider who survived a rear-end pileup by always stopping at the lane's edge. The car behind him slammed into the space he'd just vacated. MSF near-miss databases are packed with cases where the split-second habit made the difference. Treat every stop as a defensive maneuver, not a pause. If you can't make scanning and offset second nature, you're gambling with your life at every red light. Number 6. Swerve don't brake drill is the line between dodging disaster and guaranteeing a wreck. The most common mistake in obstacle avoidance isn't a lack of courage. It's grabbing the brakes when you should be steering. Police training manuals and MSF curricula hammer this point. When a car door swings open or debris appears, your survival depends on one thing: counter steering, not panic stopping. The drill is brutal in its honesty. 3 cones, 10 feet apart. Approach at 15 to 20 miles per hour. As you near the middle cone, keep the throttle steady and execute a sharp push-pull on the bars. No brakes allowed. The entire maneuver, from sight to swerve, must happen in less than a quarter of a second. Data from law enforcement schools show riders drilled in emergency swerving. Initiate avoidance in under 250 milliseconds, while brake grabbers lag behind at over 400. That's the difference between missing a bumper and meeting it head-on. Every advanced riding course agrees. Most crashes happen not because the rider couldn't stop, but because they never learned to trust the bike's agility. If you can't swerve on command, without freezing or chopping the throttle, you have no business riding in traffic. This is the reflex that turns a near miss into a story, not a statistic. Number 5. Progressive throttle drill is the difference between riding a bike that's stable through every corner and one that tries to throw you off at the first sign of trouble. Abrupt throttle inputs, those jerky on-off twists, are the silent trigger behind countless mid-corner slides and high sides. Chassis stability studies show that a single snap of the wrist can set off a chain reaction. The suspension unloads, the rear tire loses grip, and the next stop is the pavement. The drill is forensic in its simplicity. Find a long, empty stretch. No distractions, no turns. From a dead stop, accelerate to 40 miles per hour using the smoothest, most gradual throttle you can manage. No surges, no dips. Once at speed, hold it. No fluctuation, not even a blip. The goal is zero drama, zero surprise. Practice this until your throttle hand is as steady as a surgeon's. Instructors in advanced schools agree. Smoothness is not just style, it's survival. Riders who master progressive throttle control report fewer mid-corner scares and more predictable handling, especially when the road surface changes under their wheels. If you can't keep your power delivery smooth, you're just waiting for the next loss of control. This is the halfway mark. Beyond reaction drills, now it's about finesse. Get this wrong and every other skill falls apart. Number 4. Visual anchor. Drill is the discipline that separates a rider who plans every corner from one who just hopes for the best. Entering a curve too hot is the classic rookie mistake, one that advanced riding schools have spent decades eradicating with a single technique. Pick your braking landmark before you even think about turning in. The protocol is non-negotiable. Before every corner, identify a visual anchor, a sign, a patch of paint, a tree, something that marks the absolute latest point you can safely finish braking. As you approach, brake hard to that anchor, then release and commit to the turn with steady throttle. No guessing, no riding by feel. Studies from advanced courses show that riders trained in anchor point discipline cut late braking incidents by over 40%. Crash data confirms the payoff. Riders who anchor their braking consistently avoid the fatal trap of entering curves with no margin left. This is not just theory, it's a measurable drop in corner entry crashes. If you can't brake to the anchor, then commit, you're gambling with physics. Every pro, every instructor, every survivor of a curve gone wrong says the same thing. Plan your braking or plan to crash. This is the drill that turns guesswork into survival. Coming to the top 3, Passenger pre-flight drill is where the margin for error disappears. Two-up riding isn't just a casual upgrade, it's a complete overhaul of your bike's physics. Add a passenger and you're not just doubling the load, you're raising the center of gravity, shifting the balance rearward, and multiplying the stopping distance by up to 50%. Every expert, every advanced course, every survivor of a passenger-induced crash agrees. If you haven't drilled this, you're gambling with both lives. The protocol is strict. Before you ever hit the street, run the panic stop drill and clutch feather drill again, but this time with a passenger on board. Instruct them. Absolutely no movement, feet on pegs, hands locked. The rider's job is to brake earlier, squeeze smoother, and feather the clutch with twice the precision. Training studies show that riders who practice two-up emergency stops cut their incident rate by a third, but those who skip it are the ones who lock up, tip over, or run wide in corners. The difference is muscle memory, built in practice, not in panic. If your stopping distance with a passenger feels about the same as riding solo, you're not pushing hard enough. Double your following distance, triple your margin for error. If you can't control your bike with a passenger, you have no business carrying one. The life you save may not be your own. Number 2. Surface surprise drill is the antidote to the panic that sends riders sliding across painted lines, wet leaves, or gravel patches. Emergency room data draws a straight line. The more a rider tenses up during a slip, the more likely they are to hit the ground hard, or break a wrist trying to save it. The solution is counterintuitive and brutally effective. Practice rolling over slick surfaces while staying loose on the bars and tight on the pegs. Find a painted parking lot stripe or a patch of loose gravel in a safe, empty space. Ride across it at a steady pace. No throttle changes, no brakes, no sudden moves. The goal isn't to avoid the slip, but to ride through it without flinching. The paradox is real. The lighter your grip up top, the more control you keep down below. Riders who master this drill retrain their nervous system to accept small slides as routine, not emergencies. ER studies show that relaxed riders, those who let the bike move under them, walk away from slips that send tense riders to the hospital. This is the drill that conditions you for real-world hazards: oil slicks, steel plates, rain-soaked intersections. If you can't stay loose when the surface changes, you're riding on borrowed time. Master this, and you turn panic into muscle memory, the difference between a minor scare and a crash that ends your season. And finally, in first place, the group ride gap drill stands as the single greatest casualty prevention tool in all of motorcycling. The numbers don't lie. Every year, police crash reports document mass pileups on the group rides, with 8, 12, even 18 bikes tangled in one chain reaction disaster. The common denominator? A 2-second gap or less between riders. When the lead bike brakes or swerves, the next rider has no time, and the dominoes fall. The drill is as ruthless as it is simple. Double your following distance. 4 seconds minimum from the bike ahead. No exceptions, no excuses. Not 2, not 3, but 4. That's the difference between a single crash and a rolling catastrophe. Insurance data and investigator summaries confirm it. When riders maintain a 4-second gap, the risk of a multi-bike pileup drops by more than half. This isn't just about your own reaction time. It's about giving every rider behind you a fighting chance. The protocol goes further. Combine the 4-second rule with the quick scan habit. Don't just stare at the taillight in front of you. Scan the entire group, the traffic, the escape routes. Your job is to protect your safety bubble, not just follow the leader. In group rides, the stakes are multiplied. One mistake can ruin a dozen lives. If you can't keep a 4-second gap, you have no business riding in a group. Police motorcycle units, advanced schools, and crash investigators all agree. The 4-second gap is the firewall against disaster. Every major pileup on record could have been avoided if riders had held their distance. This is the capstone drill, where personal responsibility meets collective survival. Practice it until it's automatic. If you can't defend your own space, You're not just risking your bike, you're risking the entire pack. 4 seconds is the law. Break it and you're gambling with more than your life. From the simple head-up turn drill that retrains your eyes, to the uncompromising group ride gap drill that can prevent multi-bike pileups, these 10 crash-proof drills map the real danger zones every rider faces. The most shocking entries, like the surface surprise drill, which exposes how panic, not traction loss, causes most low-side slides, and the passenger pre-flight drill, which turns a forgotten risk into a practiced routine, prove that control isn't just physical, it's psychological and situational. Across all 10, a clear pattern emerges. The drills that save lives target muscle memory, vision discipline, and proactive planning, not just raw riding talent. This ranking is driven by cold facts. Statistics show over 30% of fatal curve crashes come from target fixation, and doubling your group ride gap can slash pileup risks dramatically. Practicing these drills for just 20 minutes delivers the highest crash reduction per minute invested in any riding skill. The truth is simple. If you can't master these fundamentals, you shouldn't be on a motorcycle. In the end, real safety isn't luck. It's repetition, discipline, and preparation.